The music you know, the city you love. Liverpool Live. Billy Butler.
My next guests are two people who could be millionaires. It's Troy with his mum, Tracy Jane. Their real names are not as attractive as that, so we won't mention them. But they're on the television tonight on Anson Dexter's Limitless quiz programme. Now, I was hoping to impress them with the fact that I once answered a £50 question on Bullseye. But that didn't impress them at all because they could win £1 million tonight. They are Troy and Tracy Jane, son and mam. The first thing I want to ask you, because everybody listening will be asking this, how do you get on a TV quiz show?
Well, it was you who applied, wasn't it?
Certainly was.
Guts.
Yeah, certainly was.
Yeah.
So Mum applied. So what made you think you could get on Anton Dex Limitless?
I've got to be honest, I didn't even really think about it. I basically just saw an ad and thought, I'll put our names in for it and just see what happens. Nothing will ever come of it. And obviously something did happen because they replied, well, they sent a sort of an invitation out to say, we'd like to invite you to apply formally. And I must have missed that. And then when they sent us a chaser, which are probably just automated anyway, I showed it to Troy and I said to him, is this just spam? And he said, Mum, that's not spam. Have you applied for that? And I said, well, yeah, but I didn't think we'd hear anything. He said, well, clearly we have.
Yeah, because we saw the first series and we kept saying, oh, we want to go on a quiz show at some point. That'd be great. Because it's one thing we love watching together, stuff like The Chase.
Nothing to do with greed at all, of course.
No, not at all.
No.
The money's a nice incentive, you know what I mean? But no, we just kind of, we saw Limitless win in particular and thought, that'd be a good one to apply because you go in a team, the two of us would probably be quite good on that. Yeah. And, we said, we should apply for it. And so you did, you ended up applying for it. I think you only told me a couple of days afterwards, you're like, by the way, I applied for Limitless Win. And I was like, oh, okay, we'll see if that goes anywhere. But yeah, it took a little while. And then you said, is this email spam? Because you said you got one. I don't even think you told me the first time round. It's only the second email. I looked at it and went, that isn't spam. That's a genuine reply. So it all just kind of went on from there. It was kind of crazy, to be honest.
Yeah. Pinching yourself, yet we are on. And then you're looking at what the rewards might be.
Yeah.
I mean, and explain the rules of the game because I've only watched it once or twice and there's times I'm struggling to follow it. But by the same token, I struggle to follow tipping points.
Well, there you go.
Who doesn't?
No. So tell us what the game's about.
So the idea is basically with this show, the answer to every question is a number. Yeah. And the number that you give as your answer is how far you go up a ladder. Basically, every number is going to be like a rung. So if you answer say 25, you go 25 rungs up the ladder kind of thing. Like
the simple ideas are the best, and that's a good idea, isn't it? Yeah.
And the idea is that the ladder basically never ends. So in theory, you could go up to like 4 or 5, even beyond like 10 million or whatever it is. No one's ever quite got that high because they've designed it in a way so it's more challenging the higher you get up. Obviously. But you have like a certain number of lives, and the idea is that you want to get the correct answer, you want to get an exact answer. If you get an exact answer, you bank the cash you've got up to that point. If you answer even one over, you're out immediately. So what you end up having is this kind of battle with, do I know the exact answer or do I want to play it safe and go a bit under? And then you end up losing lives. So it's kind of a bit of a fight.
And can you keep the stuff you've banked?
Once you've banked it, you have to decide to cash out. So
as soon as you bank it, you cash out?
No. So we can get it banked, then we keep playing basically. And then once we get to a question where we go, oh, I don't think we got the lives, like this is too much of a risk, we cash out and just go, basically.
Like in Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, you can take the money.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So it's a battle between greed and hope, isn't it? Because you can have a certain amount of money and think, that's a large amount of money, but I might get more.
Exactly. Yeah. It's
So were you greedy tonight then?
Oh, we can't tell you that much, can we? Well, what I can say, what I think we can say is that it was interesting for us as to how well we would work together, like how much would we trust each other. Because there are definitely a few questions where it's kind of like we're talking it through and we're like, what are we going to answer? Then it's just kind of a matter of you just got to trust each other and just hope for the best and fingers crossed and all that. So
without giving anything away, did she batter you when you got home?
I think if anything, I probably battered myself, but we'll find out. We'll find out. It's going to be an exciting time.
But apparently tonight it is the most nail-biting edition of the show ever.
Yeah, it's obviously we can't say too much because it hasn't gone out yet, but what we will say is, well, I mean, it went out last night. There's been some stuff Ant and Dec have said about it in like the Mirror, because there's been some stuff about, you know, a certain celebrity cameo that's happening in it as well. But Ant and Dec said they were asked for a quote, and they said I think they said the atmosphere was electric. They'd never seen anything quite like it in the show, because the idea is, well, I think they were trying to be a bit mysterious. I think they've been a bit more specific now that we get very high up the ladder. Yeah. Doesn't necessarily mean we've got a high amount banked. You never know. Tune in and find out.
Who knows?
But we get very, very high up, and the atmosphere was like, it was very tense. And plus we had a studio audience in there, which I don't think they had for the first series.
Who was affected the most, you or your mum? Because the tension must be dreadful. I mean, when you say, if you're deciding whether or not to go for the next question, you look at your mum looks at you, and you're going to say, shall we? And you saying, shall we? And you know that if you make up your mind and it's wrong, she'll never cook you a meal again.
Hey, luckily I can cook myself a few things. I've picked up one or two tricks in the kitchen, so I've got my backside covered in case. But
it's very, very difficult, isn't it? I mean, you've got to trust each other, and you've just got to know. I think I've brought Troy up with a mantra that really, you know, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And you can't change something if it's, you know.
You can just stick to that. That's great.
And Billy, you go through your life, you can't have regrets. You know, you've just got to, everybody makes right decisions and wrong decisions, and you've just got to carry on
doing
from there on
a good job of playing the field here.
Have
we done well? Have we done badly? You know?
Can I
okay,
ask?
so what time's it on tonight?
Maybe not.
Oh, no, go on, Leslie.
I want to know, did you meet Ant and Dec?
Yes.
Of course you met him. What a stupid question.
No.
What a stupid question.
I'm talking about, but you know, in the green room, not on the TV. I mean, actually, did you meet them and get to speak to them?
We spoke to them very briefly before.
See?
Yeah, like, so there's like, they film you going up the ramp basically before you go on stage and all that. I mean, obviously we can't share too much about behind the scenes. We don't want to spoil the magic.
No, but I can say one thing though, which was quite funny.
Go on, what?
Well, one thing that was actually quite funny was, while we were waiting in the wings to be called on, Ant and Dec, unbeknown to us, had come down the ramp and was stood right next to us.
They jumped up behind us, And
I was talking to Troy, and I was saying, we'll be fine, we'll be cool, just do our best and everything else. And then as I turned slightly to the left,
they were just
my eyes just locked directly with Dec, and I jumped. I must have put a dent in the ceiling of the studio, and he
just
did
like you did when you met me tonight.
Absolutely, exactly the same. Oh no, it was much better meeting you, Billy.
But David Tennant must have known you're Doctor Who fans, because he sent you a good luck wish, didn't he?
We've got all these different stories, It's been a while now. The funny thing with Ant and Dec, just quick before we go on to that, because that's a big one. No, was that it was almost like a pantomime, because my mum was talking to me saying, "Oh, you know, we'll be fine," blah 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 blah. And in the corner of my eye, I saw them coming down the ramp and creeping up on us, and I was almost kind of go, "Mum," that didn't get a word, and then all of a sudden they jumped. You just jumped,
and then Dec jumped, didn't they?
So David Tennant sends a good look, because you're our Doctor Who fans, aren't you?
So we're very glad, because it's come out a little bit. We didn't think it would go out immediately. Well, actually, we weren't sure it was going to go out before the episode went up, but the context towards it has remained very hidden. I'm very glad, because it's a great little bit with David.
It's huge, it's good.
Now, it's on tonight. What time?
It's on at 8:30 on ITV1.
We're under grave instructions not to give anything away. But I've got a good idea exactly what happened. And it's your fault, Troy. Because when we drove in this morning, and I saw you sitting outside Tesco's on a Mac with a hat in front of you, I thought, no, they didn't do well. So good luck.
Oh, I didn't think you'd seen me.
The music you know, the city you love. Liverpool Live. Billy Butler.